Hi guys, and welcome back to the cave. So, episode 2.2. Objectives of this session are to ultimately get the bike running. We saw in 2.1, we've done a little bit of work there. In this, carbs are back on the bike. In this episode, the carbs are back on the bike. Done a service, as we'll see, and hopefully we're going to get a bike that's going to run. If the TED does run, and some other bits and bobs, it should score enough Jolly Boy house points to allow it to become not the TED anymore, and then be rechristened the Mystery Man Machine, the project bike for this year's budget biker build-off. Just a little bit of a recap to 2.1, where we rebuilt the carbs. But I did forget to mention one or two things, so I'll just bring them into play now. The standard jets were 135, so I've took a punt and gone for 142.5 mains. Obviously, a bit bigger jet. That's because the bike, unfortunately, is going to have to run open air filters. The standard system's gone, and it's going to be a fairly open exhaust system. So I took a punt. Hopefully, that'll be rich enough. If not, we'll try again. Set the float heights on the carb. That said, they didn't actually need doing, so it was more checking than actually setting. I also drilled out what I think Yamaha are calling them a security tab, a security block. And it's how the air screws are blocked off from the factory. Very common on American bikes or US spec bikes from this era. I guess to do with the more stringent emission laws in the US. Anyway, as I mentioned, I've drilled those out so we can sort of adjust the screws as we need to. Also, what we did was do a bench sink, a mechanical sink on the carbs. When the bike is up and running, ultimately when we're dialing the bike in, I'll probably then use a couple of vacuum gauges and dial them in right on. But static bench setup of synchronization is more than good enough to get the bike going, hopefully. So, echoing a little bit of what I said in 2.1 before we try to start the bike, I'm going to do a little bit of a service. So, as you can see, what we've done is basically an oil change and a valve clearance check, and also a check on the oil pressure switch, make sure that was working okay. The sump bolt was incredibly hard to remove. Again, I had to use a breaker bar just to get it moving. Anyway, so we obviously came off eventually. What can happen, of course, is over a period of time, the metal bolt in an aluminium casing tends to stick. However, this thing had been fitted without a crush washer as well, and I get the impression somebody had been really yanking on it to get it to fit. Likewise, the filter housing, and we'll see a short video of the filter housing. Wow, that man alive, that was stuck. Again, same reasons perhaps, age, and also some bad workmanship, I think. But then with the sump bolt and the oil filter eventually off, obviously we dropped the oil, and as you can see, the oil was blacker than a tart's heart. How long it had been there, who knows? On the upside, there was no bent smell in the oil, there was no petrol smells, and no telltale sort of shimmering of metal parts in there. So nothing untoward there, other than the fact it was old junk oil. Also on these bikes, and I think the same with the 650, there's actually an oil strainer that you can see. Got that off to clean it out. It was fine. There's a little bit of, I suppose you'd have to call it oil sludge, not a great deal. And again, no metal particulates on the go, so again, a good thing. Give it a good clean, and that's ready to go back on the bike. Okay, so all the relevant TED tests have been done. Thankfully, no major problems. A little bit of historic bad workmanship, but that's got to be expected on a bike this age. I mean, a bike over 40 years old, the start off has been somebody's pride and joy, and they gradually work their way down the food chain, and servicing and maintenance becomes, less and less, less and less. Full stop. One of the things that's been really bugging me and really niggling me is the fact that there was no oil pressure warning light. Was it just as simple as did not the person who put it together before had not gone with an oil pressure warning light, or was the oil pressure that low? They've neglected it altogether. The way I've decided to find out is use this circuit tester. One part of the circuit, two parts, I suppose, really, is connected to the battery. So this should make this tester live. Indeed, it does. Another wire is connected to ground or earth or negative, and I've actually connected that straight onto the oil pressure switch. So when we touch that to the switch, positive on the switch, yay, get a circuit. Obviously the noise and the light soundings have got a circuit. What happens now is if I turn the motor over, the pressure switch should work. If we've got oil pressure and a working switch, the light and the sound should go off. Yeah, nearly instantly. So that's a very good thing to see. A couple of more seconds, and the lights and sound should come back on as the switch closes down. So another job out the way, or a test out the way, and that's a good thing. Maybe later in the build we'll put a full oil pressure gauge on there and see what the actual oil pressure is. But another step forward. So next job, and the critical one, I suppose, really, bike off the bench, hook it up to a petrol feed, and see if the bike will start and run. So here we go. Make or break time. Check for leaks, no apparent petrol leaks. Power's on. All I can do is, hope it works. Ooh, trying.
It's alive! In the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
Well, not too shabby there. Got 2 stabs of the starter. Not saying it's running well, and it's on full choke at the moment, but there's no air filters on. Give it a little chance to warm up, see what we get. I'll just keep checking for leaks. I should get turned up in a massive fireball. Can't hear any untoward engine noise. So the bike runs. Perhaps not well, but it runs. Certainly more than good enough at this point to give us the confidence to move on to the next part of the project, which the more groovy parts, like actually getting on with the custom build. As well as it running, also, as you saw in the video, it is charging the battery, so that the charging system, that side of the bike, must be fine as well, or certainly good enough. So another very positive key point in moving the project forward. Obviously, lots and lots more of what I call meat and potato jobs to be done with the bike as well. But they'll be tackled as the custom build progresses. Case in point, a good example would be with the front end set of the forks. Pull the forks apart to do the rebuild, refill, just see what's going on there. It'll give us the opportunity to then also do the custom part of the forks, which is really we're down to polishing the sliders. Also, we'll be perhaps doing something with the yokes, or if you prefer the term, triple trees. The bike has accrued enough points to have the TED wiped away off the board, so no longer the TED, and it's scored enough sufficient Jolly Boy house points to be rechristened the Mystery Man Machine. Still for the Budget Biker Build Off KKBO competition, but as we said in, I think in the prologue to the build, this bike, although it is focused on the build, the other element of focus, if this will be a road going bike, rideable bike, not radical. It's got to be able for people to ride it easily. Well, when I say people, I mean most of my buddies are elderly, they're over 60, so we're a bit beyond messing around with foot clutches and things like that. So the build won't be too radical, but hopefully aesthetically pleasing. Still not absolutely decided on what the build will be. The three rabbits running are a bobby, a traditional old school bobby, 60s, 70s style. That's kind of our preference, but in case we get any hiccups or things that are going to create too much of a problem, we've also got the option of going for a desert sled or even a flat tracker. We'll see as that unfolds what we get into. Either of the three options I've mentioned do kind of share the same frame platform, so we can still start working on the frame while we come into a final decision on what the project will actually definitely be. So the next episode 3, that's going to be about chopping bits of frame off, going for a certain look, and I suppose that's when the groovy part of the project starts to take place. Okay, I don't have a problem with doing the meat and potato jobs, and it's a fundamental part of how I see the process of building a bike. But yeah, get into the groovy bits, sparks are flying, pour welding to be welded, everything you'd expect to see on a custom build. So just to respond to the feedback from some comments that were made regarding one of the previous videos. And basically the comment was, now I'm paraphrasing here, felt this was a custom build, not a restoration project. Certainly not a restoration project, but a recommissioning is part of the process. It's a major part of the process of any project, of course. It's a foundation of a build, be it a custom build, whatever you're doing. And if you believe that you're getting on a 40-plus-year-old bike that is probably, is an abandoned project for somebody, if you think you're going to jump on that bike and be riding it around with no issues, think again, man. You'd be very, very lucky. It's not my first rodeo, and it's a process I've followed many times. If you've got a process that's better, you know what to do, man. Follow your process. And finally, for now, everything is on target-ish. Definitely thanks for watching. Please hit the subscribe button, and safe miles. Bye for now, and catch you in episode 3.
Happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, joy, happy, joy, joy.